Good evening, dear all. On behalf of the International School for Sri Shankaracharya Studies, I welcome you to the Sri Shankaracharya Study Circle on Reading of the Text and its Interpretation. Today, we are truly privileged to have with us Professor Gauri Maholikar, Academic Director, Chinmaya International Foundation, Ernakulam. Well, I invite Professor Sriklam Nair, Director, International School for Sri Shankaracharya Studies, and the Head, Department of Philosophy, Sri Shankaracharya University of Sanskrit, Kaladi, for the welcome address.
Thank you, Shimi. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. It's indeed a great privilege uh, to have you all with us for the monthly study circle. As I repeatedly tell you all, I deem it the most significant academic activity probably the whole university is undertaking, because what else can be more significant other than reading the original text and giving the interpretation? And these interpretations have been given by contemporary thinkers. And tomorrow it will be history. And I'm sure whatever Professor Gauri Mahalikar would be telling us today will become history tomorrow. And this is how Vedanta has been evolving down the ages. We were not just stuck with what Shankara has said, but the tradition has been evolving, as Gadamer, Hans Gadamer, has said that it is through the interpretations, through the hermeneutics, that the Hegelian dialectic of thesis, antithesis, and synthesis can be worked out. So, friends, once again, we are here to take in this tradition, which we hail as the most ancient and the greatest mm, pride that we have. Of course, among all the wealth that India has accumulated, Adhyatma Vidya, as Lord Krishna says, Adhyatma Vidya Vidyanam. So, this Adhyatma Vidya, which we cater as most valuable for the society and for the India, uh, is one thing that the International School for Sri Shankaracharya Studies is trying to promote at the institutional level and the individual level. So, in this September monthly study circle, we are privileged to have a great academic with us. What is unique about the Vedanta tradition, Sanskrit tradition in general, and Vedanta in particular, is that it just can't be at the speaking level. So, what is unique of Professor Gauri Mahalikar, as little as I know her, of course, we have met several times, and to that extent, that she is a good friend of mine today. But with little, I know, few meetings that we have had, one thing that has impressed me is that she speaks deep from her heart. So it is just not a textual revelation. She speaks deep from her persona, as we say. And this is something unique again of Indian tradition, because the theory and practice go hand in hand. Professor Mahalikar is currently the academic director of the Shodh Samsthan, the International Foundation at Velianada, which is an institution, as we all know, who seem to be doing a lot to promote Indian philosophy in culture. Hats off to the institution and its leaders. I know that institution very, very closely, and I have great appreciation for the work that they have been doing. Probably ISS and the Shoots themselves should join hands together so that we can strengthen your exercises. This is one thought that came to me immediately as I saw Professor Maharlika. So today, uh, Professor Mahalika will be taking up Brahmasutra Bhashya has been a topic of address quite often. We have read several adhikaranas. Today she is going to read to us a small adhikarana, Antarādhikaraṇa, but nevertheless very, very beautiful, where the Akshipurusha has been discussed, the nature, in the gati, and what happens to the self if the upasana of Dakshipurusha has been undertaken, and the via negativa, what the Akshipurusha is not, whether the Akshipurusha is the Chayatma, whether he is Vijnanatma, or whether he is Devatatma, and he undertakes negating all those to establish what indeed Akshipurusha is. And the Gadi, it's theory and praxis, something which has to be known by all of us. And I'm extremely happy that this text reading session today will be undertaken by Professor Mahalikar, who is well versed in both Sahitya and Vedanta. I see very often her textual study workshops on Sahitya as well. But today she is going to read for us Vedanta text. Uh, we, on behalf of the International School for Sri Shankaracharya Studies, I take this privilege to welcome her to this evening's gathering. And I also take the privilege of welcoming all those who have assembled in this online platform to study together, to read, to pay homage to the ancient masters, to what they have written, which will also be a handbook for us for our academic well being as well as the well being of the self. Now, it's time to listen to Professor Gauri Mahalikar. Over to her. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hari Om to all. Let me start with invoking Adi Shankaracharya, who is just behind me in my office. Om Vedanaamagamanaam Paramajalanidhim Sarvavijnanapurnam Vedantarthaprakasakshamamamalaruchim Bhanuvatvantanasham Shishtai Shishyai Sametam Niravadhi Sukhada Jnanadataramishan Vande Srimad-Gurunam Paramaguruvaram Shankaram Pujyapadam. Thank you, Professor Srikala Nair, and thank you, ISSS, the International Society for Shankara Studies, for inviting me on this very illustrious platform to read a text. Reading a text has become very rare these days, and reading a text with interpretation, which a real seeker, a real student and researcher look forward to. Just one correction, I am reading Antarādhikaraṇa, which talks about Aditya Purusha. Akshi Purusha is similar to that, yeah, but this speaks of Aditya Purusha, Shruti from Chandogya, and that we will read. I will start reading the text, and as and when I have referred to, I mean, basically, I am referring to the Bhamati Prasthana for interpretations. I haven't taken any other Prasthana. So, Bhamati by Vachaspati Mishra, then Vedanta Kalpataru by Amalananda or Vyasashraya, and then Kalpataru Parimala by Appaya Dikshita. So, these are the three commentaries I have referred to for this textual study. Okay, so Antarādhikaranam. Now, basically, what is the need of this adhikarana? Bhamatikara gives it very clearly. See, after the Chatussutri comes the Ikshatyadhikarana, the fifth adhikarana, and that is to refute Pradhana Karanavada, because Ikshatehe na ashabdat. Okay. Pradhana being achetana, Prakriti being achetana, cannot be the Jagat Karana. So that was discussed in the Ikshatyadhikarana. Then the sixth adhikarana from 12 to 19th sutras talks about Anandamaya adhikarana and takes into consideration the Panchakosha theory of Taittiriya from Annamaya to Anandamaya, and whether Anandamaya is the Paramatma or the Jivatma, the lower category, the Savikalpa Brahma, Apara Brahma. So that was discussed. Now, once it is discussed that yes, wherever these qualities are referred to, if they refer to Paramatma, Brahman only, then what is the need of Antarādhikaraṇa? Okay, so that could be one question. So for that, Brahmatikara clearly states that this is also very much needed by, because पूर्वस्मिन् अधिकरणे अपास्त समस्त विशेष ब्रह्म प्रतिपत्त्यर्थम उपायता मात्रेण पंचकोशाः उपाधय स्थितः न तु विवक्षिताः ब्रह्म एव तु प्रधानं ब्रह्म पुच्छं प्रतिष्ठा इति ज्ञेयत्वेन उपक्षिप्तम् इति निर्णीतम्. संप्रति, what is the intention now? संप्रति तु ब्रह्म विवक्षित उपाधि भेदम उपास्यत्वेन उपक्षिप्यते. So the Brahman which is referred to here is referred to as upasya, upasyatveena upakshipyate, natu vidyakarmaatishaya labdhotkarshah jivatma aditya padavedaniyaha iti nirniyate. Now for that the Shruti which is taken into consideration is from Chandogya. Ye eshaha antaraditye hiranmayah purushaha drishyate hiranyashmashruhu hiranyakeshaha apranakhat sarvam eva suvarnaha sarvam hiranmayah. So that is the Shruti in the Chandogya first chapter. So with that Shruti, whether that Hiranmaya Purusha which is referred to in the midst, in the what you can say, the orb of the sun, Aditya Purusha, whether it is Jivatma or Paramatma. So that is the question. The Purva Paksha would naturally say it is Jivatma, and the Siddhanta would conclude, no, it is not Jivatma, but it is Paramatma. So this is the background for this Adhikarana. Okay? Let us start reading the text. Idam amnayate. Athaya esha antaraditye hiranmayah purusho drishyate hiranyashmashruhu etc. I just read it. Tasya yatha kapyasam pundarīkameva akshini tasya ut iti nama sa esha sarvebhyaha papmabhyaha ut itaha udayetiha sarvebhyaha papmabhyaha ya evam veda iti adhidaivatam atha adhyatmamapi athaya eshaha antarakshini purusho vidyate. That is an Akshaya Purusha which you were referring to from Chandogya. Tatra samshayaha. Okay. So the Shruti which is taken into consideration is the Chandogya Shruti. Now here the Hiranmaya Purusha, Aditya Purusha Shruti it is called as, and that Purusha is Hiranya Varana of golden complexion. Hiranyashmashruhu, the beard is golden. In fact, apranakhat, till the tip of the toe, everything is Suvarna. Okay, and therefore the Purva Pakshins, they have a doubt that this must be, a Jivatma who has attained to the Aditya Loka, the Surya Loka, on account of his good virtuous deeds. Vidya, Jnana, Karma, Phala. Okay, so as a phala of that, it must be a Jivatma Atishayitaha. In his rewarding, he is Atishayata, got the highest reward, and therefore he must be referred to in this. And regarding that Purusha again, there is one Shruti which says, Tasya Kapyasaiva Akshini. Now this is a very like a controversial Shruti, so to say. Kapyasaiva, and then it is said Kapyasam Pundarīkameva Akshini. And when Adi Shankaracharya translated that as that is the nates of a monkey which are red in color, the hind portion of a monkey, like that pinkish or reddish is the Pundarika, and like that are the eyes of the highest. Now those who have read Shri Bhashyam also, they would definitely know how Ramanujacharya, again a very great saint philosopher, theistic philosopher, I must say. He interpreted the text as kam nama jalam, and therefore kam pibati iti kapihi nama suryaha, and tena asitam nama vikasitam ataha kapyasam nama kamala visheshaha. And therefore, if you say kamala vishesha, then tasya iva akshini goes very well. Of course, Shankaracharya and the followers, Gambhirananda for that matter, who has translated the entire Shankara Bhashya, I refer to that also. So he makes it very clear that this here Kapyasa is not used in the derogatory sense, because the eyes are compared not directly to Kapyasa but to Pundarika. The Upamana here is not Kapyasa, it is Pundarika. Okay. And again, there is one more doubt that Pundarika is a Sitotpala, is a white Kamala. Then where comes this redness or the pinkishness of that, which is there, in the lotus? It is just like the Pundarika Patramiva. So it is not to be taken in the literal sense, and Pundarika Sitotpala, here it is Samanya Kamalavachaka Shabda. Okay. Otherwise, Padma is used for the red lotus and Pundarika is used for the white lily or the white lotus normally. But there also the explanation is given by the commentators and of course endorsed by Gambhiranandaji. This is to be taken as a Samanya Nama. So having crossed that hurdle of Kapyasa, now Tatra Samshayaha. And then one more thing is Tasya Ut iti nama. So that Aditya Purusha is all golden in complexion. His one name is Ut. Why? Because Ut eti, he goes up. Now Ut is, like Yaskacharya's Nirukta also gives you the sense, Ut always gives you the upward direction. As it is quite evident in the words called Utkarsha, Uddhara, Utkramana, Ut always gives you an upward direction, an upliftment and Utkarsha. So Ut eti, because he goes to a higher plane, and Udetihi sarvebhyaha papmabhyaha, and he transgresses, he transcends all the sinful things, all the evil things, all the kashayas, and therefore his name is Udeti. Okay, Ut. Tatra Samshayaha. Now the Samshaya comes. What is the Samshaya? Kim Vidya Karma Atishaya Vashat Karshaha. Vidya Karma Atishaya Vashat Praptotkarshaha. One who has got Utkarsha, again the word Ut here, Utkarsha, prosperity, abundance, on the account of his great meritorious deeds, karma, as well as his jnana, his vidya. Kashchit samsari, he must be a samsari, jiva, surya mandale, because Akshi Purusha and Aditya Purusha, they go hand in hand, but this Shruti particularly deals with Aditya Shruti. Okay. So Surya Mandale Chakshushicha Upasyattvena Shruyate Kimva Nitya Siddhaha Parameshwaraha iti. So when there is a doubt, Vishayo Vishayaschaiva, so the Vishaya is the Aditya Shruti. What is the Vishaya with Talavya? The Samshaya is Kintavat Praptam. Aditya Purushaha iti shabdena kim jivatma upalakshate athava paramatma. There are two options. Naturally, kim tavat praptam, what is your choice? The Purva Paksha would say samsari iti. The Purva Paksha chooses samsari. Now they have to endorse, they have to give justification for that. Kutaha. The method, in which all the Bhashyakaras, not only Shankaracharya, all the Bhashyakaras write Bhashya, that is very, very praiseworthy, appreciable, because they never compromise on, on the Purva Paksha's arguments. Whatever arguments they feel fit for the Purva Paksha, they do not hastily wind it up. They give sufficient time and sufficient justification, endorsing it with different statements from the Shrutis, and therefore this is to be appreciated by us all, that we want to, pursue our own paksha, our own siddhanta, but in that many a times we don't even listen to the doubts raised by the opponents. So Shravana, listen to the doubts of the opponents and then clear them. You can do the mandana first of Purva Paksha and then you should do the Khandana. So this is a trend set by Shankaracharya, which is followed by other acharyas as well. Kutaha, what are the grounds on the basis of which this Aditya Purusha, the Aditya Mandale, Virajamanaha Hiranmayaha Purushaha is Jiva. What are the arguments for that? Rupavatva Shravana. There are three arguments basically. They give you three arguments. The three arguments is, one is Rupavatva, the second is Adharatatva, Aditya Mandala or Chakshu is given as the substratum, the residence of this Purusha. Okay. There is Rupavatva, Hiranmayatva, that is spoken of. So Rupavatva is there, then Adharatva is there, Antaha Aditye, Ataha Athava Antaha Chakshushi iti. And third is Aishwarya Maryada Shruti. We'll go, these are the three main arguments. Okay. So we'll go line by line. Rupavatva Shravanat, Aditya Purushe Tavat, Hiranyashmashruhu ityadi rupam udarhitam. His beard is golden, that is stated here. Akshi Purushe api, similar is the case with the Akshi Purushe. Tadeva atideshena prapyate. There is this atidesha. Atidesha, again, I would like to tell here, this is a group of all great seekers of knowledge. Atidesha is a Tantra Yukti, and how the Bhashyakara uses Tantra Yukti as and when they are required. There are so many Tantra Yuktis spoken of by Sushruta, then by Kautilya in his Arthashastra. So many Tantra Yuktis are there. Basically, the very concept of adhikarana is also a Tantra Yukti, because that adhikarana is also a Tantra Yukti. Okay. So adhikarana gives on the 5 points, Vishayo Vishayaschaiva, Purva Pakshas Tathottaraha, Nirnayascheti Panchangam. So these are the 5 avayavas of an adhikarana that itself categorizes the topic under discussion in a very methodical manner. So Tantra Yukti is something which every researcher has to follow. There are some, like Sva Samudnya, that is one more Tantra Yukti used by Bhashyakara many a times. For example, Adhyasa. Where comes this word from? Adhyasa is a meta language. It's a meta language created by the Bhashyakara. And the entire Shankara Bhashya is based on the concept of Adhyasa. The Utsutra Bhashya, Yushmadasmad Pratyayoho, Vishay Vishayinoho, etc. So such text, such yuktis, such devices to spread and to interpret your own topic are used by Bhashyakara many a times. So this is Atidesha. Atidesha is extension. Normally Atideshas are used in the sutras, Panini's sutras, grammar sutras, one sutra, and purport of that may be extended to something else. So Atideshena. Now here, whatever is told about the Aditya Purusha, the Atidesha, extension of that could be done with the Akshi Purusha as well. So etena, anena, tadapi vyakyatam. We can say that, okay. So Akshi Purusha api tadeva atideshena prapyate tasya etasya tadeva rupam yad amushya rupam. The rupa of Akshi Purusha is also the similar as it is described in the Aditya Purusha, where what it is described earlier, elsewhere. That elsewhere is Aditya Purusha Shruti. Okay. Nacha Parameshwarasya Rupavatvam Yuktam. Now Parameshwara is arupam, asparsham, agandham, etc. How can you even think of any rupa of Parameshwara? So Parameshwara is arupamat. I mean, mat also can't be used. Arupam Brahma. So nacha Parameshwarasya rupavatvam yuktam ashabdam asparsham arupam avyayam iti kathake. Okay? Iti shrutehe. So that is one point. Rupavatva shravana. And Parameshwara cannot be stated to be having rupa because he's a rupa. The Kathaka Shruti says it. So there is an endorsement. A statement, a karana. Why do you say so? Because only Jivatma can have rupa, Paramatma cannot. What is the justification? What is the namulam likhyate kinchit? What is the mula for that? Kathaka Shruti. So one point very clear. Now second point comes. Adhara Shravanachya. Adhara has been spoken of. Ya eshaha antaha aditye. Ya eshaha antar akshini. Akshini, aditye. These are adhikarana karaka. They give you location, a locative case, which gives you the sthana of their residence. So residence is spoken of. Adhara is spoken of. And Parameshwara himself is the Adhara of everything and everybody. How he could have an Adhara? How Parameshwara can reside in something? He is Vibhu. How can he be limited to a particular, Upadhi, Grasta or Sopadhika object like Akshi, like Aditya Mandala? So, nahi anadharasya swamahima pratisthasya sarvavyapinaha parameshwarasya adharaha upadishyet. Very clear. Nahi anadharasya. He doesn't have any adhara for himself. On the contrary, swamahima pratisthasya. Why he doesn't need any adhara? Because he is self-established. Swamahima pratisthasya and sarvavyapinaha vibhutvat parameshwarasya adharaha katham upadishyeta. That is not justifiable. That is not viable. And again, sa bhagavaha kasmin pratisthitaha iti sve mahimni iti. So again, for that, there is again quotation that where is that Purusha, that Aditya Purusha or that Parabrahma located? And there is Swa Pratishthe, Swa Mahimni Pratishtitaha. This comes in the 7th chapter of Chandogya. You see, Yovai Bhuma Tat Sukham Nalpe Sukham Asti, that Bhuma, Bhumatva Shruti. In that chapter it comes, Yatra nanyat pashyati nanyashrinoti nanyad vijanati sabhuma atha yatra anyat pashyati anyashrinoti anyat vijanati tadalpam yo vai bhuma tadamrutam atha yadalpam tanmaratyam. So clearly Chandogya has stated, and later sa bhagavaha kasmin pratisthitaha iti sve mahimni pratisthitaha. He is established in his own mahatmya, own mahima. If an adhara is spoken of for somebody, it will confine his aishwarya. Okay? And therefore, this Parameshwara, who is anadhara, who is swamahimna pratisthitaha, for him to talk about a minuscule adhara like an Akshi or like Aditya Mandala is offending him, because you only say it is Vibhu, your Paramatma is Vibhu and all that, so that is not viable. So that is Adharatva Shruti. On the basis of that also, we cannot say that Paramatma could be that Aditya Purusha. Okay? Akashavat sarvagatascha nityaha iticha shruti bhavataha. And for Vibhutva also, there is another shruti, Akashavat sarvagatascha nityaha. This comes from Gaudapada's Karika on Mandukya Upanishad. Okay? Akashavat sarvagatascha nityaha. So that is the second argument with the justification and with an endorsement from Shruti. Okay, Shruti Sharanatva. Two arguments are over. Now the third comes. Aishwarya Maryada Shruteshcha. There is Maryada, confinement, restriction to the Aishwarya of Parameshwara, of the Aditya Purusha. Okay. And how can Parameshwara be Maryadita Aishwarya Yukta? He should be Amaryada, right? And therefore, it is said, Aishwarya Maryada Shrutescha, Sa Esha Yecha Amushmat Paranchaha Lokaha, Tesham Cha Ishte Devamanam Cha Devakamanam Cha. So this Aditya Purusha Ishte, rules, controls whom? Ye cha amushyat paranchaha lokaha. The lokas which are beyond the Aditya, and the people who are staying there, and the people who aspire to be godheads, deva kamanam cha saha ishte. So there is a Maryada given. This Aditya Purusha, who is Hiranmaya, Hiranyashmashru, Apranaka, Sarvam Suvarnaha, he controls and rules over only those Devakama people who stay beyond the Aditya Loka. What about the others? The Shruti doesn't tell about it. Okay? The Shruti, which gives you the Aditya Purusha Shruti, in the continuation, it gives in the first chapter only, Sa Esha Yecha Amushmat Parancho Lokaha Tesham Ishte Iti. Ityadi Iti Aditya Purushasya Aishwariya Maryada. So there is a limit. Only beyond Aditya Mandala and not Arva. Not this side of the Aditya, only beyond Aditya Mandala. Then who rules over the Devakama or the other people who are below the Aditya Mandala? It is not given. So there is a Maryada, there is a limit to the Aishwarya, to the ruling power of this Aditya Purusha, and Paramatma has to be, Amaryada Aishwarya Yukta. Similar is spoken for Akshi Purusha also. See, Aditya Purusha and Akshi Purusha go hand in hand. Aditya is for the Brahmanda, Akshi is for the physical level, the Pinda. So Akshi Purusha is the Pinda and Aditya Purusha is the Brahmanda. So this is the micro-macro cosmic relationship, and therefore these are similar. Whatever things are applicable to the macro, the similar things are applicable to the micro on the micro level as well. Nacha Parameshwarasya Maryada Aishwaryam Yuktam. How can Parameshwara have limited Aishwarya? It has to be Amaryada Aishwarya because Esha Sarveshwara. The other Shruti says in Brihadaranyaka, Sarvesham Ishwaraha. And here you are saying, Kevalam Amushmat Paranchaha Lokaha Tesham Ishte. Not everywhere. Not all. And Brihadaranyaka, other Shruti says, Sarveshwara. He rules over all. He controls all the beings. So there is no limitation that his rule extends from this to this loka and not beyond and not earlier. There is no limitation to that. Such a Sarveshwaraha, Esha Sarveshwaraha, Esha Bhutadhipatihi, Esha Bhutapalaha, Esha Setuhu, Vidharanaha, Esham Lokanam, etc. etc. So this is very clearly stated in Brihadaranyaka that he is Sarveshwara. Now contradicting that Shruti, do you mean to say that the Aditya Purusha having a limited control over limited people is still Paramatma and not Jivatma? We say it has to be Jivatma. Because Jivatma can have, because this is Samsari Jiva who has got that Utkarsha on the basis of his Vidya and Karma. So there will be some limitations to his Aishwarya. But Parameshwara's Aishwarya, there can't be any limitation. Okay? Iti Vishesha Shrutehe Tasma Na Akshi आदित्ययोः अन्तः परमेश्वरः इति एवं प्राप्ते ब्रूमः. So the Purva Paksha gets over here. So on the basis of these three arguments, Rupavatvam, Adharavatvam, Aishwarya Maryada Shrutitvam cha. So on the basis of these three arguments, we opine that the Purusha who is described in the Shruti, whether residing in the I or residing in the Aditya Mandala, has to be Jivatma and not Paramatma. So the Purva Paksha gets here. Now, as the stylistic peculiarity, Ityevam Prapte Brumaha. When the situation is this, let us have our own rejoinder for this. Antaha tad dharmopadeshat iti. Antaha, one who is inside, is Paramatma. Antaha yaha varnitaha, Aditya Mandale yaha varnitaha, Akshini yaha antaha varnitaha, sa Paramatma eva. Kasmat, what is the karana for that? Hetuhu, Hetau Panchami, Kasmat tad dharmopadeshat, because his dharmas, his characteristics have been spoken of, have been told in the Shruti elsewhere. So, tad dharmopadeshat iti cha shruha ya esha antaraditye ya esha antarakshini iti cha shruyamanaha purushaha parameshwara eva na samsari kutaha tad dharmopadeshat. Tasya hi parameshwarasya dharmaha iha upadishtaha. His dharmas have been spoken. What are the dharmas? Tad yatha. First, so before refuting the three arguments, Rupavatva, Adharavatva and Aishwarya Maryadatva, he first defends his own side, what are the dharmas. And then he will take into consideration the three arguments and refute those. Okay. Tadyatha, tasya ut iti nama, iti shravayitva, tasya aditya purushasya nama, sa esha sarvebhyaha papmabhyaha uditaha, iti sarva papmapagamena nirvakti. So ut iti tasya nama, and that's why I explained that ut shabda, ut word at the very beginning. Ut gives you the utkarsha. So tasya ut iti nama, and after that it is said sa esha sarvebhyaha papmabhyaha uditaha. He transcends, he is beyond all the sins. Papmabhyaha uditaha. Now, before we turn to the Tadharmopadeshat, let me read out a verse from Brahmasutra, the Vachaspati Mishra. He writes about the Aishwarya Maryada Shruti. In a verse, in a particular verse, he summarizes that Maryadadhar Rupani Samsarini Parenatu Tasmat Upasya Samsari Karman Adhikrito Ravihi. So this is the Purva Paksha he has summed up in this particular verse, that Maryada and Adhara and Rupa, all these are seen only in the Samsari Purusha, and therefore this can't be Paramatma. So then we go further, but before going further also, I would like to read from Amalananda's Kalpataru, Vedanta Kalpataru. He says, Nirvishesham Param Brahma Sakshat Kartum Anishwaraha Ye Mandaha Te Anukampyante Sa Vishesha Nirupanaihi. Very nicely he has spoken. People like us, ordinary people, we are Nirvishesham Param Brahma Sakshat Kartum Anishwaraha. We are not capable. We fail to grasp, cognize, perceive, or even realize that Brahma as Nirvishesha. And therefore, for people like us, Mandaha, we are Manda people, and therefore Anukampyante. The Shruti takes pity, compassion on people like us, and therefore Savishesha Nirupanaihi. With the Savishesha Nirupana of Brahma, it teaches us to contemplate on that Parabrahma only, but with Savishesha Nirupana. With the Visheshanas, it advises the Upasana for us. Normally, this is like what I should say in Shankaracharya's own language also, using his Nyaya terminology also. This is like from the concrete to from the concrete to subtle, from very gross level to the subtle we are going, from external things to the internal things we are moving. As he mentions it in the Anandamaya adhikarana, this is like Arundhati Darshana Nyayena. This is like Arundhati Darshana Nyaya, from external to internal. You can't concentrate on that Nirvishesha Brahma all of a sudden. I mean, it's very difficult. So first contemplate on the Savishesha, Saguna, Sakara, Savikalpa, the Vigraha of Paramatma. Then try to transcend that Vigraha and then visualize only the Bindu or the Omkara, and therefore these different upasanas are given in the Shrutis. For people like us, we are Manda. We are not like the realized souls, like Shankaracharya or the other Shankaracharyas of the Peethadipatis. And therefore, for people like us, for Upasana's sake, all this Savishesha Nirupana is done. And this Adhikarana starts with this. The next adhikarana, Akasha adhikarana, will also endorse the same thing. Then there are so many adhikaranas following in the 1-1, the first chapter, first pada, which talk about different Shrutis. And then there is a doubt about the particular adjective. And then Katham ayam jivatma, vijnanatma, athava devatatma, or Akasha is like the phenomenal Akasha, or the Paramatma. So there are 3-4 options would be given. The Purva Paksha would choose the first 2-3 options, and Siddhanta would always talk about Paramatma, saying this is for the Upasana. This is the Sopadika Brahma meant for the Upasana. So this has set a trend. This Antarādhikaraṇa has set a trend in a way, so that the further adhikaranas, the following adhikaranas, could be read very quickly with the same perspective in our mind, with the Arundhati Darshana Nyaya. Okay, so now let us go further here. Tasya ud iti nama iti shravayitva tasya aditya purushasya nama sa esha sarvebhyaha papmabhyaha uditaha iti sarva papma apagamena nirvakti. So sarva papa apagamana, and it is only Paramatma who is talked about as apahata papa. Samsari jiva cannot be termed as apahata papa. It is only the Parabrahma. Tadevacha krita nirvachanam nama akshipurushasya api atidishati. Same thing is atidesha again, extended to akshipurusha. So, while reading this Aditya Purusha and Akshipurusha Adhikarana, if the concept, the Tantra Yukti of Atidesha is kept in mind, it will be very, very understandable, very easy to understand all these things. Yannama Tannama iti. Now, Yannama Tannama Tasya Ut iti nama. It is spoken of in the Aditya Shruti. Okay. In the Akshipurusha Shruti, again, the dharmas are the same. And therefore, the Akshipurusha is similar to Aditya Purusha, it is stated. Okay. So, Yannama Tannama, whatever is the name of Aditya Purusha, the same is the name of Akshipurusha. So, Ut, Uditi, Udeti, Sarvebhyaha, Papmabhyaha, Udeti, iti. So, whatever are the dharmas, whatever is the name talked about Aditya Purusha, the same could be extended for Akshipurusha. So this Tantra Yukti we have to keep in mind all the time. And then Sarva Papma Gamascha Paramatmanaha Eva Shruya Papma Apahata Papma. So samsari jiva cannot be apahata papma ityado. Tatha chakshushe purushe sa eva ruk tat sama tad uktham tad yajuhu tad brahma iti ruk samadhyatmakatam nirdharayati. In the chakshusha purusha, that is the akshi purusha, there is another dharma which is given, and that is that akshi purusha itself is Rigveda, that itself is Samaveda, that itself is Yajurveda. Now, can a Jivatma be told to be comprised of all the four Vedas, or he is the Veda? In Shastra Yonitva adhikarana, we have learned that it is all the Shastras, they have come up from Brahma. Tasya nishvasitam etat yad Rigvedaha. Is it not? And therefore, Shastrasya yonihi, Shastramcha yonihi asya iti. So, taking that into mind, keeping that into mind, we can clearly say that about that Akshi Purusha, it is said, Sa eva ruk, Sa eva sama, Tad uktham. Uktha is a typical hymn, it is like sung very loudly, uktham, and tad yajuhu, tad brahma. So all the Vedas, Brahma would speak of Brahma Veda, that is Atharva Veda. Iti ruksamadhyatmakatam nirdharayati. Kasya nirdharayati ruksamadhyatmakatam? Akshipurushasya or Aditya Purushasya. Sacha Parameshwarasya upapadyate. That ruksamadhyatmakata kasmin upapadyate? Parameshware eva upapadyate. Kasmat sarvakaranatvat sarvatmakatva upapattehe. Two reasons. Sarvakaranatva. Parabrahma is the karana. Sarvakarana karana. Ruk and Yajus are the karana of other these sutras and all. But who is the karana of Ruk, Sam and others? It is the Parameshwara. So he is Sarvakarana karana. And secondly, Sarvatmakatvat. He is present because of his Vibhutva, because of his Sarvavyapitva. He envelops and pervades all other things. So for samsari jiva, he can neither be Sarvakarana karana, nor could he be termed as Sarvatmaka. And therefore, this Aditya Purusha or Akshi Purusha cannot be the samsari jiva, it has to be Parabrahma. Prithvi Agnyadhyatmakache Adhyatma Prithvi Agnyadi Atmakecha Adhidaivatam Ruksame Vak Pranadhyatmakecha Adhyatmam Anukramya Aha Tasya Rukcha Samacha Geshnau Iti Adhidaivatam Tatha Adhyatmu Api Yau Amushya Geshnau Tau Geshnau Iti. Now Geshno is a very peculiar word which is used here. It is the, what you can say, the joint of the knees. Janoho, Janunaha, Bhedaha, Granthi. It's a joint of the knees. Now Ruk and Sama are spoken of as the knee joints of the Paramatma, of the Aditya Purusha or the Akshi Purusha. Both are like by extension, you can have Tad Dharmaha of Akshi Purusha transferred to Aditya Purusha, and Dharmaha of Aditya Purusha transferred to Akshi Purusha. Okay. So Ruk and Sama, both on the Adhidaivata level, on the divine level, as well as on the Adhyatmika level, the physical level, they are stated to be the same. Yau Amushya Geshnau, Tau Geshnau. Whatever is told about Akshi Purusha, the same is told about Aditya Purusha. Tacha Sarvatmanaha eva upapadyate. Now Ruk and Sama cannot be said to be the knee joints of Jiva, of a samsari Jiva. It has to be someone who is greater than the greatest, right? And therefore it has to be Paramatma. Tacha Sarvatmanaha eva upapadyate. Tad ye ime veenayam gayanti enam te gayanti tasmat enam te gayanti tasmat te dhanasanayaha in Chandogya in the first chapter, next section, it says that those who recite this Sama or those who sing this Sama, the Sama and Ruk are the knee joints of the Paramatma. Okay, and those who recite these or sing these by playing one veena, they become prosperous. And this prosperity is given in that Bhumatva Shruti of Chandogya. I just now read it. Iti cha laukikeshu api ganeshu asya eva giyamanatvam darshayati taccha parameshwara parigrahe ghatate yadyad vibhuti matsatvam shrimat urjitameva va tattadeva avagachatvam mama tejonsha sambhavam, as it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita. There are very rare occasions, perhaps only counted Anguli Gananiyani Udaharanani, where Acharya, the Bhashyakara, quotes from Bhagavad Gita or Mahabharata. Otherwise, he quotes only from the Shrutis and mostly from the Chandogya, Brihadaranyaka, Isha, Kataka, the 10 principal Upanishads. So this is another thing to be taken note of. This is one of the rare examples, illustrations where a Bhagavad Gita quotation comes here. Wherever you find Utkarsha, wherever you find any high-spiritedness, learn that, know that to be my Amsha. Mama Tejonsha Sambhavam, that is my splendor. And therefore this splendorous Purusha, if we are seeing with Hiranya Rupa, Hiranya Shmashru, everything glowing, resplendent Purusha, it has to be that Purushottama's Amsha. It has to be Purushottama. It can't be anybody else. Loka kame shitrutvam nirankusham shruyamanam parameshwaram gamayati. And nirankusham, not with the maryada, that only the lokas beyond are amushmat lokat paranchaha deva kaman ishte, not like that. Nirankusha, without even a little bit of constraining or restraining himself. Loka kame shitrutvam. Loka kama ishitrutvam, the swabhava, the dharma, the characteristic of ruling over all the people without any constraint and restraint, that which we hear like Esha Sarveshwaraha iti tat Parameshwaram eva gamayati. That also points only to Parameshwara and nobody else. Yaduktam, and now see, this is what the Shankaracharya style is. Tad dharmopadeshat, he stated the reason, right? Kasmat antaha yaha uktaha saha parameshwaraha na samsari jivaha tad dharmopadeshat. And an explanation, a bhashya on the dharma. And there are similar instances of the similar bhashyas for Akshipurusha. So that is his Swamata Mandana. But now he has to refute the 3 arguments propounded by the Purvapaksha. And that he does now. In the next paragraph, he does that. Okay? Yattu Uttam, what you said. What is that? One by one he will take. Hiranyashmashruttvadi rupashravanam parameshwarena upapadyate iti atra brumaha. We have to say this. What is our rejoinder on this? That it is rupavatva and therefore parameshwara is a rupa and therefore the aditya purusha can't be parameshwara. That was your argument. Atra brumaha syat parameshwarasyapi ichhavashat mayamayam rupam sadhakanugrahartham. Parameshwara also can have a rupa. Now the vigraha we are worshipping during Navratri of that Adi Shakti, Mahamaya, she is also a rupa. She is also a nirvachaniya. She is Tripura Sundari, So, but we do worship the vigraha. It is Mayamayam. So, sadhaka anugrahartham, to bless the sadhakas, with compassion and mercy on the seekers, syat api ishwarasya ichhavashat mayamayam rupam. Due to his own will, he doesn't require anybody to create him with his saguna form. With his own will, he can create a covetable form which we can see, we can visualize and do worship and contemplate upon. So, Syadapi, it is possible. It is just possible. Ichhavashat and Mayamayam. Due to his own will, because it is his ichha, it is sankalpa matrena sarvam aravate. The purvam sankalpatmika srishtireva bhut. Brahmanaha api sankalpatmika eva srishtirabhut. And therefore, mayamayam and ichhavashat syadapi parameshwarasya rupam. It is quite possible because it is for the benefit of the sadhaka. Okay. Maya hi esha maya srishta yanmam pashyasi narada sarvabhuta gunair yuktam ma evam mam jnatumarhasi iti smarana. And there is a smriti in the Narada Bhakti Sutra, to Narada, it is stated that, oh, whatever you see, maya hi esha maya srishta yanmam pashyasi narada. You are seeing me as this Chaturhasta, Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma and all that. That is only by Maya. And just don't get confused in this, that what you are seeing me is my real form. No, I am really speaking Arupa only. Okay. So, Yanmam Pashyasi, okay, Yanmam Pashyasi, Sarva Bhuta Gunaihi Yuktam, Ma Evam Mam Jnatumarhasi. You can't have that conviction or that knowledge for certain that I am like this. I am not like this. Okay. So this is only for the anugraha that I assume different forms. Like for example, Prabhu Ramachandra, we see him only with two hands. When we see Mahavishnu in him, then only it is Chaturhasta. Otherwise, it is Dvihasta only, Kodandadhari Rama, right? So this is all the Dvihasta, Chaturhasta, and the Virat Rupa, the Vishwarupa Darshana in the Bhagavad Gita. It is all Maya Hiesha, Maya Srishta. So this is all my Maya. I create different forms for the benefit of the seekers. Apicha yatra nirasta sarva vishesham parameshwaram rupam upadishyate bhavati tatra shastram. And where there is nirasta sarva vishesham rupam, where there is nirvishesha rupa is given, parameshwaram rupam upadishyate, there the Shruti says it is ashabdam, asparsham, arupam, avyayam, etc. Okay, but for the sadhaka anugraha, it can have the hiranya varna and hiranyashmashru and all those things. Okay, sarvakaranatvattu vikaradharmaihi api kaishchid vishishtaha parameshwaraha upasyattvena nirdishyate. He is the karana of everything, sarvakarana karana, and therefore Vikara dharma, whatever dharmas are spoken of, here only 2-3 dharmas are spoken of, Hiranya Varnaha, Hiranyashmashruhu, etc. So, Kaishchit Vishishtaha, Kaishchit Dharmaihi Vishishtaha Parameshwaraha, Upasyatvena Nirdishyate. So, this Rupavatva is for Upasana. And here only few dharmas are given. If you read Madhva Bhashya, especially the third chapter, the Sadhanadhyaya, he will give the Aganita Aishwarya of Parameshwara, that is Vishnu. So different forms could be visualized. It is for the seeker, up to him what he chooses. And so it is said sometimes Sarva Karma, Sarva Kamaha, Sarva Gandhaha, Sarva Rasaha in Chandogya again. but he is equipped with all, but now only 2-3 kaishchideva vishishta dharmaihi yuktaha iti atra kathyate tadapi upasanarthameva ityadina तथा हिरण्यश्मश्रुत्वादि निर्देशः अपि भविष्यति. So कैश्चिद् विशेषैः विशिष्टः, and therefore here हिरण्यश्मश्रुणा विशिष्टः, हिरण्यवर्णेन विशिष्टः. So only 2-3 dharmas are spoken of here. So that is the answer for the Rupavatva Shravana. Okay. Now there was the second one. First is for Sadhaka Anugrahartham. The second is Adhara. Adharatva Shravana. Now, what is the refutation for that? Yadapi Adhara Shravanat na Parameshwaraha iti uttam atra uchyate swa mahima pratisthasya api Adhara Vishesha Upadeshaha Upasanarthaha Bhavishyati Sarvagatatvat Brahmanaha Vyomavad Sarvantaratva Upapattehe. Adharatva Shravana is also because of his own greatness, Swa Mahima. He is Pratisthita, he is self-established, he is Atmanirbhara, okay? Swayam Prakashita, Swaprakashita, but Swapratisthita, yet Adhara Vishesha Upadesha is done for the sake of Upasana. As the Nirvikalpa and Arupa Brahma cannot be visualized, similarly, without any Adhisthana, we cannot have the Puja Vigraha for the Upasana Vigraha. And therefore, there is Adharadheyatva Bhava here. And therefore, the Adhara is spoken of either as the Akshi, the Chakshu Mandala, the Chakshushi, or the Aditya Mandala is spoken of as Adhara. Secondly, so one thing is for the Upasana. Secondly, because he is Sarvagata, he is Sarvavyapi, he can also be stated to be in the Aditya Mandala and Akshi. One who is everywhere is here also, and therefore his form in the Akshi or his form in the Aditya Mandala is taken for granted, is taken for consideration. Okay, he is everywhere, so he is here also. This is not an exclusive thing where he doesn't reside. He resides everywhere, in everything. Elsewhere, you know, in the Bhashyakara, in the adhikarana, perhaps, I don't remember, I think there, adhikarana, Bhashyakara says that, you know, Yatha Sarva Vasudhapatirapi San Ayodhyapatiriti Uchyate. Yatha Prabhu Ramachandra, he is like Sarva Vasudhapati, but still he is spoken as Ayodhyapati. If he rules the entire universe, can't he rule the Ayodhya? So by saying Ayodhyapati, you are not adjuncting or limiting his Aishwarya. You are confirming that he is Sarvatra and therefore he is here also. And therefore, you know, like the Sarvagata Parameshwara, he could be visualized in a very small thing, Yatha Shalagrama. There Shankaracharya says very, very beautiful example. I mean, to reach that highest philosophy to the lay people or to the students in a very small illustration is Yatha Shalagrame Hari. Now Hari is everywhere. But don't we worship Hari in Shalagrama? In that oval black stone? Don't we worship the Arupa Shiva in that lingam? It is the same case. It is the Sarvagata Paramatma, but we worship for the Upasana. We take him to be the Aditya Purusha. Okay? So it is Upasanarthe. So the second argument is also taken into consideration. Now the third is Aishwarya Maryada Shruti. Aishwarya Maryada Shravanamapi Adhyatma Adhidaivata Vibhagapeksham Upasanartham Eva. This Aishwarya Maryada is also spoken of like limiting to his Adhidaivata form and Adhyatma form, but one who is everywhere, He will be Daivata in the divine and the Adhyatma, the physical. So this is also for Upasana. Tasmat Parameshwaraha eva Akshi Adityayoho Antaha Upadishyate. And therefore, it is the Parameshwara, the Paramatma, the Parabrahma, who is, like Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swabhavaha, who is Satchidananda, who is equipped with the three omnis, omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient. The same Paramatma is spoken of as Aditya Purusha. And the three arguments are also taken into consideration. So the first sutra gets over. The second sutra in the same adhikarana, very short one, I'll just briefly tell about it. It is still 5-10 minutes are there for me. So Bheda Vyapadeshacha na anyaha. The second sutra says Bheda Vyapadeshacha na anyaha asticha Adityadi Sharirabhimanibhyaha Jivebhyaha Anyaha Ishwaraha Antariyami. The Shruti is from Brihadaranyaka. The cross-textual references, the way a Hashyakara gives, are like amazing. How well versed he must have been. We don't remember the same Shruti while reading it. What we read just 5 minutes before, and he is quoting from different Shrutis so very easily. Adityadi Sharirabhimaninyaha Jivebhyaha. There are Jivas, the Samsari Jivas, who because of their Vidya, Jnana, Atishaya, Utkarsha Praptaha, etc., they go to Aditya Loka. But, and there is this but, that there is Ishvara spoken of as different from such Jivas who are Praptotkarshaha. And the Shruti reads, Ya Aditye Tishthan Adityat Antaraha Yam Adityaha Naveda Yasya Adityaha Shariram Ya Adityam Antaro Yamayati Eshate Atma Antaryami Amrita. The Shruti is very clear. Ya Eshaha, there is one person, okay, Ya Eshaha, Aditye Tishthan. He is in the Aditya Mandala. Adityat Antaraha, inside the Aditya Mandala. Yam Adityaha Naveda, who is not realized, who is not known by Aditya. Yasya Adityaha Shariram, the entire Aditya Mandala is as if his body. Yasya Prithvi Shariram, says Vishnu Purana, which is taken by Ramanujacharya as, the Jagat being his Sharira, right, for the Vishishtadvaita terminology. So, Yasya Adityaha Shariram, Yaha Adityam Antaraha Yamayati. That person who is staying inside the Aditya Mandala controls the Aditya, who in a way controls the entire universe. Surya Chandramasa Udhata Yathapuram. So Surya Chandramasa are the Kala, they are the Kala Brud, they are the Kala Niyamakas, right? But one who is their Niyamaka, he stays within them. And yet the Aditya doesn't know him, doesn't realize him, and he is controlled by the person staying within. So these are two different things. Aditya as the Aditya Abhimanini Devata, and Yameshaha Aditya Antaha Tishtan Adityam Yamayati Adityaha Tam Naveda, Ataha Yamadityo Naveda Iti Vedituhu Adityat Vijnanatmanaha Anyaha Antaryami Spashtam Nirdishyate. Who is Aditya after all? Here, Shankaracharya Bhashyakara says, this Aditya is none else but it is a Vijnanatma who is Praptotkarsha. Okay? But the Ishvara, the Paramatma, Ishvara, the word here speaks for Paramatma, he is different. Anyaha, Bheda Vyapadeshacha Anyaha. there is a bheda between Aditya as a Purusha and the Purusha staying within Aditya who is controlling the Aditya Purusha. Okay? So Antarādhikye Purushomsa Vijnanatmanaha Adityat Anyaha, there is somebody else who is Antaryami, who is the indweller. See, there is an indweller. How many of us we know the indweller? Ya eshaha antaha atra hritpundarike tishtan asman yamayati. We don't know him, but we and he are different in a way. See, again now here the people criticize Bhashyakara. You are talking about Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. And how can you justify this Veda Shruti? The Veda Shruti is only for Upasana. The moment we understand that this is for Upasana and something lies higher above this Upasana level where we can't reach perhaps, it is our lacuna. It is not Bhashyakara's lacuna. It is our lacuna that we can't reach that level, and therefore Eshaha Anyaha Antaryami Spashtam Nirdishyate Sa Eva Iha Api Antarādhikye Purushaha Bhavitumargati. The same Purusha talked about in Brihadaranyaka is the Purusha who is spoken of as Hiranyashmashruhu, Hiranyavaranaha, Apranakhat Sarvam Suvaranaha, Aditya Purushaha, Rakshi Purushaha. Shruti Samanya. And why I am saying this? Because the Shruti ultimately mean the same thing. For Shankaracharya, it is a samanvaya of all the Shrutis and they lead you only to Advaita Vedanta. Right? And therefore, Shruti Samanya Tasmat Parameshwaraha Eva Iha Upadishyate Iti Siddham. And therefore, here the Aditya Purusha is Parameshwara alone and none other. He is not the Samsari, Jivatma or Vijnanatma. Okay, so in very short adhikarana, only 2 sutras. The next adhikarana has only 1 sutra, but the pattern is set from this adhikarana. That is what I wanted to highlight. The next few adhikaranas you can read in the same pattern. Okay, the same pattern is some shruti will be taken out, some samshaya, vishaya would be there. There would be Purva Paksha. Purva Paksha would talk for Vijnanatma or a Mahabhuta or something other, and the rejoinder, the Siddhanta, would always talk that this Shruti points to the Paramatma on the basis of some dharmas and giving you cross-textual references. So this is the set pattern for this, and I think with this adhikarana, the next methodology of Shankaracharya starts in this manner. I wanted to read from Kalpataru Parimala and all, but I think the points are the same. I mean, there are no different points, and wherever I wanted to read, I already read it out. So thank you very much for your patient listening, and thank you especially Shrikala Madam and the International Society for Shankaracharya Studies for giving me this opportunity to go through this bhashya again with Bhamati Prasthana. Dhanyavadaha. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Professor Mahalikar, for that lovely rendition of the Adhikarana, the short Adhikarana, but she made it very elaborate without missing even a single part. And Aditya Purusha, so she was trying to address it. She spoke about the Tantra Yuktis, very, very useful for the researchers. We are, in fact, planning to organize a workshop on Tantra Yukti.
Okay, great.
With the help of Indian Council of Philosophical Research shortly. So, Aditesha, you all have heard about several Tantra Yuktis that were adopted by Bhashyakara, were highlighted by Madam. And she also said about how the Akshipurusha at the microscopic level and the macroscopic level, you have the Aditya Purusha, and you have the Brahmanda and the Pindanda being identical. So, and the highlight was the inherent fallacy involved in conceiving the absolute as with adhara, maryada, and rupa. And then she has picked up one by one, as Bhashyakara has done, and then address the apprehensions of conceiving the absolute as something which has a locus, which has a form, and then which has other limitations. Uh, and with regard to Rupa, she said that it is for the Sadhaka Anugrahardham. Rupa has been, this is very, very popular. And what is interesting is, she was crisscrossing through the different schools of Vedanta. Sri Bhashya and Madhva were creeping in the rendition. And with regard to the Adhara, again, it was Upasanardhe, where the logical argument she presented was, citing several instances like Sarva Vasudhatipati can still be called Ayodhyadipati. The logically, well, when one rules over the whole universe, he can well be situated or claim the locus of a small place like Aditya or the Akshi, so on and so forth. And also the Aishwarya Madhyadha. And let me initiate the discussion. So you were saying about kind of a contradiction that has been pointed in Shankara when he said that Jivo Brahmaiva Napara, how can he speak highlighting the Shrutis. But I don't see any contradiction here because Jivo Brahmaiva is uh, it is Jiva is the phenomenal self. We'll have to realize that there is an identity. As such, there is no identity. Like the phenomenal self, which is indulged in avidya, is indeed distinct, and that is why it has been bound. And therefore, one has to realize the identity, and so the identity statement, in fact, is a functional one. It is a direction that you will have to realize this identity, uh, but nevertheless, there is a difference, right? So, keeping that in mind, though it is an identity statement, it is functional, and it makes you aware of the task that you will have to undertake to attain this identity. We should say that actually there is no contradiction. Am I right?
See, the contradiction part, it is not my opinion.
I understood.
In the bhashyas, in the further bhashyas, many times he only says it, iti chet, that if you were to raise a doubt that for the Abhetavadins, how can this Veda Shruti you can tolerate? Then let me answer you in this manner, that wherever Veda is spoken of, it is for the Sopadika Brahma, it is for the Upasana level.
Oh, I did not understand that it was Shankara himself was speaking about the Purva.
In the
I
further bhashyas,
yeah. I thought some others.
This is the first one, in that category I said. The entire one, if you read in the same line,
Okay.
by one, the first chapter itself, the entire chapter.
Lovely. Yeah. Are there questions in the chat box, Shimi?
No, ma'am. There is no any question in the
Yeah,
chat.
so those who have any questions could straight away ask her. Is there any discussion that we could possibly have? It's a lovely topic. Yes, Sangamesha.
Reading Acharya's Bhashya is really a very loving experience. Prasanna Gambiram Bhashyam, as Bhamati Gara says, it's really wonderful.
Yeah, that Vachaspati text
starts with that, Prasanna Gambiram Bhashyam Vyakriyate iti. So,
Namaste, ma'am. I'm Radha speaking. just Appaya Dikshitar, anything specific you would, something highlighted stuff you would like to say or give us anything specific from that, madam?
Specific about what?
No. You said in the initial part of the talk, you did mention that you have referred to Appaya Dikshitar also. Recently, I've been reading a little bit about it, that he has dealt with all Advaita, Dvaita, Vishishta Advaita, everything.
But I read from him, how we are being manda and mandaha anukampyante. So on that background, we have to read the bhashya.
So that part was from Appaya Dikshitar one.
Yeah.
So okay. So basically, just to help us, only the whole explanation
Help us
is
to
given.
understand that.
It is only for us. It is not
Yes,
for
yes.
anything else.
No,
Okay.
it's for us. So
धन्यवादः,
निर्विशेषं
madam.
परिकल्पितुम् अशक्यम् अस्माकं कृते, अतः सविशेषैः गुणैः निर्धार्यते.
Our deficiencies are helped by this.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are like, very deficient and not capable enough to grasp that. And for our benefit, this is anukampaya only. Anukampyante mandaha asmadrisha.
This Arundhati Darshana Nyaya has been used to move from the gross to the subtle.
From gross to subtle. And therefore, from Annamaya to Anandamaya we go. Right? Tasya antaha, tasya antaha, tasya antaha. And then we go inside. It is like Arundhati, the tiniest star. Do you know this Nyaya?
Like seeing what is near, because the star is so small.
Prathamam sthulam taram nirdishya anantaram nasa arundhati tasya antaha pashya iti yatha kaschana sadhakah nirdishyate arundhati darshanaya preriyate tathaiva.
Yeah, Sangamation. Yeah.
नमस्ते समादरणीयाः विद्वांसः प्रियसुहृदः सर्वेभ्यो नमः। अद्य इयं सन्ध्यावेला अत्यन्तं सफला जाता। वयं सर्वे धन्याः च संवृत्ताः। श्रीमत्या प्रोफेसर् गौरी मोहलिकर् महाभागायाः प्रौढं सुमधुरं च भाषणं श्रुत्वा वयं सर्वे धन्याः संवृत्ताः। ब्रह्मसूत्रान्तर्गतस्य अन्तरधिकरणस्य श्रीशङ्करभाष्यानुसारं बहु समीचीनं व्याख्यानम् अत्र विहितम् अस्ति। श्रीशङ्कराचार्य अन्ताराष्ट्रपठनकेन्द्रेण आयोजिते अस्मिन् व्याख्यासहितमूलग्रन्थपाठ कार्यक्रमे समुचितेन व्याख्यानेन अस्मान् धन्यान् कृतवत्यै प्रोफेसर् गौरी मोहलिकर् महाभागायै हृदयपूर्णां कृतज्ञतां व्याहरामि। धन्यवादः। आमुखभाषणेन अद्य अस्य कार्यक्रमस्य आरम्भं कृतवती अस्ति अस्माकं निदेशिका श्रीकला महाभागायै च निर्व्याजं धन्यवादं प्रकाशयामि। अस्मिन् कार्यक्रमे भागं स्वीकृतवद्भ्यः सर्वेभ्यः अपि अकैतवां कृतज्ञतां प्रकाशयामि। सर्वेभ्यः अपि एकवारम् अपि कृतज्ञतां व्याहृत्य विरमामि। धन्यवादः। सर्वेभ्यो धन्यवादः।
Thank you, everyone. Do join us for the next month. Lovely to have you all. Thank you, madam. It was lovely.
Shubharatri.
Thank you.
शुभरात्रि।